Take 6.
Hi, my name is Pedro Lopes and I run the Human Computer Integration Lab here at the University of Chicago. Today we're going to demonstrate 4 new CHI papers that we have for you from the ACM CHI 2024 conference. The first one is a new way to do haptics, pioneered by Yudai Tanaka and Serfaty, in which instead of attaching haptic devices to give you the sense of touch or forces to the endpoints like finger pads or legs or whatever parts of the body you want to stimulate with haptics, we're going to just stimulate one place, the brain. Let's try it out. This device is moving a medical transcranial magnetic stimulation coil at the top of my brain, and it's a VR simulation. Jacob's going to start the VR simulation, and I'm going to be facing an enemy that's going to shoot projectiles at my hand in just a second. And you can see that I got stimulated on this hand, and then I got stimulated on this hand, and all of this, thank you Yudai, all of this is being done through stimulation here in the brain. None of the stimulation is coming from my hands. These are actually just trackers to try to accurately position my hands in the VR space. And the coil is being moved strategically to locations in the motor cortex, a part of the brain that is responsible for stimulating the left hand or the right hand. What's really interesting is that you can move that coil to different positions, different placements, and that allows, for example, to stimulate the legs, and the split second after to stimulate the hands. Actually, 15 locations are possible from one stimulation point. That's why we call this a Haptic Source-effector. It's a new way, single point haptics. This paper actually received the Honorable Mention Award at CHI. Next, I want to talk about a different kind of stimulation. This is muscle stimulation. Here we're using electrodes. We've been pioneering and using this technology in our lab for about 10 years now. And with muscle stimulation, you send electrical impulses from this device to the body, and that can generate an involuntary movement. And we're going to actually demonstrate how that looks like in normal muscle stimulation. Romain is going to try it again. You want to send a pulse from your computer? There we go. That looks good. Okay, so we're going to send the pulses from Romain's computer, not from here, unless this one works. Does not work. All right, so you're going to send just a single pulse to repel me. So this is a single pulse electrical muscle stimulation. This can be used and has been used by researchers in human-computer interaction. For example, to help people to not get burned as they're approaching this hot pot. Let's try it out. All right, so this muscle stimulation stopped me from touching this. However, that's the traditional way of using muscle stimulation. We're using the muscle stimulation for the task the user is already engaged, such as cooking. But what if I wanted to do multitasking? I wanted to cook and at the same time, say, write an essay, right? So the cooking is going to happen in the background. Normally, I would get confused if I'm trying to write an essay and splitting my attention between the cooking and the writing of the essay. However, what Romain and Yunho found out with this paper called SplitBody, which received the Best Paper Award at ACM CHI, is that it's not that hard to let the muscle stimulation automatically do these repetitive circular movements to stir the pot while allowing me to cognitively spend my energy focusing on another task. So let's try that out. So this movement here is being actuated by means of electrical muscle stimulation. It's not as nice as my normal stirring. However, it does free up my attention to be able to write this essay here. So I can see, as you can see, and by the way, I cannot normally do this. As you can see, the muscle stimulator is automating my actions, allowing me to free up my mind and spend all my cognitive energy here on the new task. Thank you, Romain. All right, so that was the muscle stimulation, and I want to talk and show you one more demonstration, also from a haptic device. So again, a device meant to generate senses like forces and touch and so forth and so forth. This is meant for virtual and augmented reality. This is a work called Haptic Permeability by Shan-Yuan Teng and Aryan Gupta. Shan-Yuan is over here. So you already see what I'm about to see. I'm going to follow these instructions to build a truck in mixed reality. And these instructions are really just meant to guide me step by step with what I should do. Every time I'll touch that button, for example, the one that says next, which you should be able to see on that screen, I will feel a little touch sensation driven by these electrodes that Shan-Yuan is putting on my fingers. This is a glove using electro-tactile stimulation. Similar to the muscle stimulation, it uses tiny electrical impulses to stimulate, in this case, the skin receptors in my finger pads, so as to generate this nice feeling of touching an interface. I'm actually just going to demonstrate, and I feel a very nice buzz. However, if I was wearing a very complex glove, very thick electrodes, completely covering up all my finger pads, which is sort of the normal technique that a lot of people are using right now, I would not be able to also do fine finger manipulation movements, like actually putting together this truck, and I'll do that in a second. The reason why I'm able to do these things fairly precisely, such as holding this little screw, is because these devices, can you put that one back, sorry, on my finger? Because I want to show that to the camera. These devices not only have the electrodes that you can probably see right now, but they also have these holes. That's an electrode, and that's a hole. These holes expose some degree of skin, and through that skin, I can have a nice grip, and I can have a lot of tactile dexterity to do things like, look at this, putting a screw together. Or feel the haptic sensation as I press that button to be able to put that wheel together. We're really envisioning a world where users don't have to choose between only experiencing virtual sensations like that one, but also be able to really do precise manipulations, and throughout their day, they're able to enjoy the feeling of haptics. And that's haptic permeability, and that's why we add holes to electro-tactile interfaces. Thank you, Shan-Yuan. Next, we're going to try to take this idea even a step further. We were able to add touch to this passive prop, to this truck, but now we're going to try to add friction to passive props. So how can this ramp right here become sticky, right, or slippery? So what you should already be seeing is that I have a little simulation of a racing game. I can play that with my finger. Actually, I should play with my right finger. And when the car is ready, I can drive the car around in this cool track. However, this ramp adds a lot of cool realism, but unfortunately, it's still just a static little ramp. And so, how can we dynamically change all the surfaces that we touch, making their friction change to slipping or sticking? Alex Mazursky is over here, together with Jacob Serfaty, created a device that they called Stick&Slip. The stick is for adding more friction. The slip is for decreasing the friction between your finger pad and any surface you touch, such as the surface of that ramp. This device that Alex is trying to put on me right now works using pumps and pulling special chemicals or liquids from these reservoirs that then get dropped through these tubing all the way to my fingertips. And they get dropped on the sides of my fingertips, and through that they fall sort of on the actual interface layer between what I'm touching on the surface and my fingertip. So what's going to happen is I'm going to drive all over again. Now you should be seeing rain, which is kind of really cool visual effect. And now, that's the sound of the pump. And there's a little bit of fluid now here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually wet a little bit. And it feels almost like ice, and my car is just doing donuts and slipping on this ramp. Again, remember, this ramp is a passive device, but all of a sudden I can transform the friction of this ramp or of any device that I touch. Not only we can do the slipping effect, I can continue playing this game, and normally you would see me doing, there we go. Now I have the situation right here where there's a honey patch on the floor, and we start delivering that device, and that chemical, that fluid, makes it really, really sticky and hard to travel. Evaporates actually very rapidly. We've designed all the chemicals to evaporate rapidly. And again, we do another one here where the car spins out of control due to that effect. In this case was again a slipping effect. Thank you, Alex. This is a totally new way to interact with surfaces, that they become active, and it's part actually of Alex's idea of ubiquitous haptics. So these are some of the things you can be able to try and hear us talk about at the CHI 2024 conference, and we hope to see you there.